What's up, Fly Shields, Fly Nation? 24-6 victory. Comfortable. We thought it was going to be a spanker. It still was to a degree. We tapered off in the second half. But ultimately, we're 5-1. We're sitting pretty in first place. Now we're just nitpicking. What do you
Trying to
think?
perfect the game, perfect the craft, so that when the postseason does get here, because we're all but locked into the playoffs at this point. So unless there's a epic collapse, we got some things that we got to work on. This game could have been a lot closer.
Yeah, and
Could
I
have been a
think
lot closer, all said and done.
even though there's definitely space between the defenders and everybody else right now, there are things that could be exploited as we get to the playoffs, playing against good teams that we've likely played before. And it'll be harder to play the hits again, So we're going to have to think outside the box.
That's the hardest thing to do in football, is to beat somebody twice. Some of these teams will have to beat them 3 times. So definitely can get a little hairy. I think this game could have been a lot closer. In both the first and the second half, the Dallas Renegades had players drop passes that would have been not only effective plays but explosive plays. There was a check down to the running back in the second half that would have converted a 4th and 4 to a first down. Wide open, just dropped it. Could have caught the ball and army crawled for a first down before someone would have tackled him. In the first half, there was I think it was the slot
I
receiver
think that was Vaughn's, yeah.
going across the middle in between 2 defenders, but if he had caught the ball, neither one of those defenders was making the play on him, and probably would have been a touchdown. That was a 3rd down that they ended up punting after that drop, 3rd and 4.
And maybe
that
that's
brings
the
me
name of
to
the
my
game. Like,
that brings me to my coach correction.
We've been making less mistakes.
Less mistakes. And that's my coach correction right there. It's such a simple thing that pass catchers take advantage of or take for granted. Looking the ball all the way in, trying to become a runner before you've caught the pass. That's at any level of football. That's flag football. That's tackle football, youth, high school, college, the professionals. You got to do the fundamentals. Look that ball all the way in, because that changes the whole complexity of the game. If one of those 2 plays goes for 6, it's 24-14, 24-15. It gives you more momentum. Those scores would have came earlier in the game, more time on the clock, and like like you said, it's the little things, getting those little things right more often than you don't. But I'm glad they dropped the damn ball, because we came out with that 24-6. The offense was hot early and kind of got stagnant. The defense and the special teams really held on to close this one out.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get a little bit more into that in depth in the film room. So let's get into it. I do want to say, Jay, can you guess who I ran into at your alma mater as I was running through on the 10-mile Broad Street run this morning, which I'm still limping around the house after?
Was it? Well, shout out to you for running the Broad Street run. For those who aren't Philly familiar, Broad Street run starts on the very, very, very north side of Broad Street, all the way up by what hospital is that? Up by Central High School, all the way up.
Einstein, something like
Yep,
that?
up by Einstein Hospital, and ends all the way in the Navy Yard. So you go through some of the most iconic spots in Philly. You run past the Divine Lorraine, the historic hotel that's turned into apartments. My favorite mile of the Broad Street run is from the mile that is Temple's campus. That's always historically my fastest mile. You get to run past the stadiums, you run past FDR Park, Center City, City Hall, and Robbie did all of that this morning before hopping on the pod. So shout out, Rob.
Before crushing a nap and getting my notes back together. But as we're going through Temple, I hear, I don't know, it was like a moment I had music playing, so I just as easily could have just not heard him. And there was a lull in the music, and I heard Mars, and I turned and I see young Coach Liam Gianelli.
No
First time
way.
I'd seen him in forever. I ran over to him, jumped on him, and I think this is a deserving pod story. Coach Jay and I having trouble getting consistent coaching support. That's a whole nother conversation about the lack of resources in the school district of Philadelphia, specifically in contracts. It can be just me and him that were stipended, and It was hard to get anybody else to be consistent without being paid. So I noticed that my cousin Abigail had a Temple student that she hired from the Temple Students, which is a university in Philly, Facebook page. And I was like, hey, do you think you could add me to that group? And she's like, sure. So she adds me to this Facebook group, and I post a job description for an intern to coach with us, to run the special teams, because that was something I was trying to think of, something small that we could get off of our plates, because it's hard to call plays and address things and fix problems all while I'm also trying to get the punt return, kick return, and we would split them up out there. And we had one answer on this job posting, and it was Coach Liam, and he was great with us for a few years, and now he's starting a career as an educator of his own. But I wanted to mention that to you, Jay, and shout
That's
him
dope
out.
that you saw Liam. I haven't seen him in a while. So glad he
He's
made
good.
the pod.
Liam had to. But all right, speaking of our coaching experience, the opening drive. So again, we're going to do the opening drive, the red eye sponsored by Together Skateboarding and Coffee, head into the film room, the lemon of the game, the look ahead, and the final whistle. And boy, do I have some good stuff for you from my deep dives. But first, opening drive. This has not been shared with Jay. Talk about
Never
a
is.
time that we disagreed.
Mm.
Because it didn't happen much. That's the point. We never really truly disagreed much. You think about it. I can go first if you want.
You go first, because this is I want to hear yours.
So mine's very specific. It's like the one thing I think of about one time that I just couldn't see Jordan's perspective. I couldn't. I just couldn't get behind it, but I did it anyway because I trust him with my life, and I also trusted him with the first play of our playoff game. And I was trying to think. I think 2023 or 2022, but
It's 23.
Jordan had this big idea that the first play of our 3A playoff game, we should run the tush push on the first play of the game to set the tone. And he, Jordan can speak with conviction, and he was so passionate about this that at first I was like, dude, no way. We're not doing that. Why would we do that? And he was like, no, trust me. Like, we've been practicing it. The kids are excited about it. It'll set the tone. And I caved. We had been practicing the tush push. In high school, you can't push the runner forward. So what we had them do was they would turn around with their chest facing the away from the play and their backs against the ball carrier, and them kind of turning their legs as if they're kind of pushing, like, imagine you're pushing like a boulder or a vehicle.
Turn it into a rugby mall.
Yeah. And that's how we were running it. And we had some good success when we, did it on 4th and 1 and whatnot. But we did the first play of the game, and I'll never forget, there's a recording out there on YouTube somewhere. They're like, and the first play of the game, the Vox Cougars are lining up in what appears to be the tush push. Very interesting call by Coach Marsden here, something of that nature. It didn't work. Anyway, it didn't work. It didn't work, and I'll never let him forget it. Something small.
So all right, if we're gonna have that be because that was the one that I was gonna share. I was on the wrong side, so it felt weird sharing. That was the time we disagreed.
Yeah.
However, the thought process behind opening up was to just establish the dominance early. I thought that we had a better offensive line. We had played the team earlier in the year and we didn't have a lot of success. So my thought process was, hey, let's come out and let's just hit them early. Let's give them our most physical play that we have in the repertoire, and let's go for it. Let's get under center. Let's let the big fellas up front show and assert their dominance. And that's just not how it played out. It's not how it played out, and I'll take credit for it, but the offense just never got clicking that day. It just never got.
Are you really throwing it back on me right now? The offense never got clicking that day. That's not shade to me.
I mean, it's not shade to you.
Oh my God!
It's not shade.
You guys hear this guy?
However, the defense also didn't do what the defense needed to do. I forget what the end score was. I think it was 16-0.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Right? So Defense let up 2 tutties, 2 extra point, 2 2-point conversions. The offense objectively did not get it going.
Objectively, the offense
Objectively
didn't
did
get
not get it going. So yeah, we will always disagree on what started and led us to the outcomes of that 3A city championship. And I'll take credit for maybe the worst first play call of any game in the history of the pub.
I'll never forget it. As I get older, I realize that I forget more and more stuff, but that I'll
I'll never forget that one. That
Do
one's
you
locked in.
do you have one, or is that it?
I'd say the only other one is the physical takedown that you and I a little scrap. We go up to Penn State with Liam, Coach Liam, who has
Yeah,
now made the podcast twice in one episode.
yeah.
Uh, and after dinner and a singular beer, we each had one. He had one.
I don't
Everybody
even think
had
I had
one.
one because I had a race.
Oh, you were training for a race. So I had
Yeah,
one beer, and we got into a little, former wrestlers in a confined space get a little tie up,
in an Airbnb that
and
was in the attic of
above
the
an
State
insurance
Farm
company.
office. Yeah,
Mars tries to square up with me, and that's just not what he should have done. I shoot a high single, use his momentum against him, get the high single to the finish, and he thinks that
yeah.
it's a fluke.
I
And I let
sprawled
him know
and we
this
were
is
on
not a
carpet.
fluke.
I
There's
sprawled
no
and we were on
chance.
carpet. You cut the corner. I had sneakers on. The rubber in the carpet got me stuck.
All I'm hearing is excuses, and that's really where the disagreement for this conversation comes in. Is that if you're gonna stay ready, you never have to get ready. So if your shoes are causing you problems, maybe you need new shoes. Maybe you need to train in some shoes more effectively, more efficiently. But I got you twice,
I shouldn't
two
have.
times, and
It's
I call
okay.
it fair and I call it square. So that's my only other time, because most
Okay.
of the time we are
You want to take if you
mostly
want
in
to
a
take a
country.
win in the attic of a State Farm office Airbnb in State College for a March coaching clinic after I had eaten a basket of fries.
Oh my God! Now it's the
All right.
fries weighing you down.
Now there's a lot of variables here. And speaking of variables, we're gonna head into the history lesson. Okay?
Let's go.
Because
Let's go.
today's topic is host cities of the UFL, right? What
Okay.
cities are we picking? Okay, I actually don't know if I even told you I was going to do this. So I have a lot of information here. I'm going to boil it down into 3 phases.
You're talking about United Bowl host cities, right?
No, like
Oh.
straight up cities that have teams.
Oh, cool. Let's do it.
So I'm going to start in 2001 with the XFL. I'm going to give you the team names, like the city, the name, and then how many. I'm not going to bore you with the name of the stadium, but I'm going to tell you how many people the stadium that was hosting the team fit.
Okay.
All right, the occupancy. We're going to go 2001 XFL. We'll go to the 2020 XFL when it launched pre-COVID. Then I'm going to take a quick deviation into the USFL's experiment with how they were managing it. And then back to where we are now, which I think is a lot more stable. And I just think the contrast is different. So my argument here is that 2001 went too big. 2020 was a mix. I very much think it was intentional, mixing different sizes of venues. The USFL just weird with their hub model. They took the hub model that the UFL or that, well, the UFL / the modern XFL used, and I mean I'll explain that when we get there. But they would share venues. It was interesting, I guess. But again, the name of the game here is that there is a through line here of experimentation in where these teams are and where they play and what size venues they play in. And I think it's ended up in 2026 where we have a much more balanced range of stadiums, and it's still becoming clear what our teams prefer to be in. So, all right, we'll start with the 2001 XFL. This is the too big era, the oversized stadium era. We have the Birmingham Thunderbolts, the Chicago Enforcers, the Las Vegas Outlaws, the Los Angeles Extreme, the Memphis Maniacs. I love that name. Maniacs with an X at the end. Okay, now. The New York / New Jersey Hitmen, the Orlando Rage, and the San Francisco Demons. So I'm not going to tell you the occupancy for all of them, but I will say the biggest stadium had an occupancy of 92,000.
What?
And the smallest stadium had occupancy of 36,800.
Those
So
are all way too big.
yeah, way too big.
96,000 is damn near the big house.
Yeah, it was actually the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum here. But yeah, I mean,
None of these were ever built just for that team, correct? They were all existing
no.
stadiums.
Yes, yeah. They were all just there, and Vince McMahon thinking that he would just touch something and it would be packed was the two big errors. So then when we come back in 2020, I'm arguing here that we have a mix of venue sizes, and they realize what works. So in the 2020 XFL Modern relaunch with The Rock, with Danny Garcia, with Redbird Capital, we had the DC Defenders, shields up,
Shields up, baby.
the Dallas Renegades, the Houston Roughnecks, the Los Angeles Wildcats, the New York Guardians, the Seattle Dragons, the Seattle Blackhawks.
Yeah, never heard of them.
Sorry, I almost called myself there. And the Tampa Bay Vipers. So we have the biggest stadium is 82,500, which if you asked me, hey, who played in the biggest stadium in the original 2020 relaunch, I would have told you the New York Guardians. Seeing them play in MetLife was goofy. And then the smallest venue, Audi Field, 20,000, the DC Defenders.
That's a good number.
And we have other stadiums in between. We have 40, we have 27, but still some big stadiums, still too big. Then we have the USFL. The USFL is weird. In 2022, they had a single hub, a single bubble season in Birmingham, Alabama. All teams played in Birmingham, Alabama. These were the Birmingham Stallions, the Houston Gamblers, the Michigan Panthers, the New Jersey Generals, New Orleans Breakers, Philadelphia Stars, Pittsburgh Maulers, Tampa Bay Bandits, all playing in Birmingham. So, like, even the Philadelphia Stars coming out, and you know, I'm a nerd for this stuff, and I didn't even care because
they never going to see them.
I would never see them. They didn't come to Philadelphia. They weren't playing in Philadelphia, so they're all playing in Birmingham. Then they shift to 2023, and they have 8 teams and 4 hubs. So each hub, each stadium,
homes 2 teams.
Okay. And the 2020 USFL, the Protective Stadium in Birmingham, that was 47,000 occupancy. And now we have the Birmingham Stallions and New Orleans Breakers sharing the Birmingham venue for 47,000. The Memphis Showboats and the Houston Gamblers sharing the venue for 58,000. The Michigan Panthers and the Philadelphia Stars sharing the Detroit, Michigan Ford Field with 65,000. And the New Jersey Generals and the Pittsburgh Maulers sharing the Tom Benson Hall of Fame Stadium in Canton, Ohio for 23,000 people, which is, I mean, that again, that's the size.
That's right on par. 23,000 is on par. Everything else, 65, 96, they're just 41, 47 or whatever you said. It's just way too many people for this spring football league. It's way too much. It had to look insane having maybe 10,000 people in a 96,000 person arena.
I mean, I remember tuning into a New York Guardians game because of Matt McGloin from Penn State. And yeah, it's like no one there. And same thing with the USFL playing all their games in Birmingham. There's no juice. You just go there if you like football, which to a degree we all do. But if there's no connection,
it's just random guys playing for random jerseys.
Yeah, no connection to the clothing, no connection to the place, no connection to the team. It's just tough to build loyalty there. So when
the hub is great. It's a great idea in the sense that you need to share resources, especially when you're a new budding league. But they were doing it in reverse of what they're doing now, where they all spend the week in a hub in Arlington, Texas, and go off to their cities to play the game. I think that seems to be a much better solution to this problem they're constantly trying to figure out. But like, huge shout out to being bold and trying different iterations of it and not being tied to something that you know isn't working.
So that's what I feel too. I think if you look at it all in one place, you can honestly appreciate that there's definitely experimentation here. Trying different things, trying new things to find what's right. And I argue that that 2026, where we are now, is to a degree the right size era. Okay, so we have The Birmingham Stallions now with 47,000 occupancy. The Columbus Aviators with their venue being just under 20,000. The Dallas Renegades with their venue being 11,000. Obviously, the Defenders at Rowdy Audi, 20K. The Houston Gamblers with their venue being under 21,000. The Louisville Kings with their occupancy being under 12,000. The Orlando Storm with their venue being 25,500. And then the outlier is those gosh darn Seattle Blackhawks that, for the accuracy of this segment, play in St. Louis. They have 67,000 occupancy. But objectively, they've been the highest attended
Well, I think
franchise.
again for the accuracy of this exercise, St. Louis used to be a professional football town, and the St. Louis Rams, who we talked about last week, greatest show on turf, moves to LA. You know, there's a void there, so I get that. That one actually does make some sense, and I could see that city being able to fill up a bigger stadium than others for this league.
So I do think, again, when we look at all in one place and we see that 2001 was way too big, that 2020 was clearly a mix of venues from Audi with 20,000 to St. Louis and New York and Seattle with 65,000 plus venues. And then you have the USFL's first one hub model, then four hub model. At least, I mean, they're trying different things, and that's admirable. And then 2026, I'm arguing, is the right size era. But there is still something missing. Even though we are the right size era, what did I call you yesterday or 2 days ago? Just how excited? What did I tell you I did?
You solved the UFL. You solved the biggest problem that this league has, which is not stadium size. It is quarterback play. Because there seems to only be one quarterback worth a damn in this league. And he plays for the freaking stinking DC Defenders. Everybody else has a problem rotating quarterbacks.
Tame.
And that's it. So let's hear the solution. I've been waiting.
Yeah.
Bated breath.
UFL. I'm looking at either the experimentation that you've had and people that are involved in your model have had. And as a historian, it is clear that you're learning from the history of the people in the spring football and minor league football industry. I believe that you are in the right size venue era. I believe that you fixed that problem, but there is one more problem. There's one more huge problem, and this is the red eye. I take back what I said last week. I said it was messed up that in the 2020 relaunch, modern XFL, that they were paying quarterbacks more. Mike Repoli, UFL, you need to pay quarterbacks more to have a healthy, watchable, and sustainable league. So, Jordan, what did I ask you to give me ahead of this segment, this red eye segment?
You wanted an elite starting quarterback.
Yes.
A middle-of-the-road quarterback, and a middling but like serviceable type of quarterback. Someone who isn't going to come in and like lead you, but can be a decent game manager in case of emergency, break glass, throw this person on the game.
So
and you asked me NFL.
NFL, yes.
So we're going to take that and comp it to the UFL.
Correct.
Let's get into it.
I'm going to do this in two phases here. The little activity that I didn't really give Jordan much context at all. I just said, give me these three types of players, and then I'm going to give my proposal, my solution to fix the UFL. Mike Repoli, hear me. This is it. This is the golden ticket. I'm telling you. I figured it out along with my very specific algorithm in my pet ChatGPT. But it was my idea. I just had them flesh the numbers. Here we go. So the three players Jordan gave me, the three quarterbacks Jordan gave me.
Elite,
Jalen Hurts. Middle of the road, and you regret your decision, but middle of the road because he's aged. Who was it?
No, my last one was Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, okay.
Middle.
Do you think Jameis Winston's middle of the road?
Yeah. He's the most middle of the road ever.
Yeah, well, I was thinking he's like a spot starter backup.
No. He's the only player in NFL history to throw 30 touchdowns and 30 interceptions in the same season. He's the only quarterback to throw for 5,000 yards while partially blind. He is the only quarterback to get up and yell obscenities on top of the table at Florida State. He is the most middle of the road quarterback, and he's super duper entertaining.
All right. So
Aaron Rodgers at this point has aged. I don't think he has the ability to run, scramble, get around the pocket the way that he needs to. But if you need to just have a guy stand back there and throw some short routes, that's your guy.
all right. So what we have here is Jalen Hurts, Aaron Rodgers, and Jameis Winston. For the sake of this exercise, we are using their cap hit, their salary from the 2025 season.
Okay.
Hurts with the Eagles, Rodgers with the Steelers, and Jameis Winston with the Giants. These numbers are courtesy of Spotrac, which is actually a super fascinating website. It gives you like the cap hits and
Sure does.
all the whatnot, all the numbers. So in the NFL, on a 53-man roster, if NFL players were paid like the UFL and everybody made the same, I'm going to use the term percent share. Okay. Each player would have a 1.89% share of the cap. Okay.
Cool. Following.
So if every player on an NFL roster had 1.89% of the share, okay, Jalen Hurts, your example of elite, in 2025 made his cap hit was $21.8 million. I'm just going to give you I'm not going to give you the exact down to the dollar, which was a 7.83% cap hit. Okay, again, if it were like the UFL, everybody would be 1.89 in the NFL. Jalen Hurts was at 7.83. I do think it's important to include Jalen Hurts' 2026 cap hit, which is just under $32 million, which puts him for next year making 10.61% of the pot.
6-1.
Okay?
Okay.
So in 2025, he was 7.83. In 2026, he's 10.61%. Aaron Rodgers in 2025 made just north of $14 million. Out of the $279 million cap, that was 5.07%. Okay? For the Steelers. Jameis Winston, your middle of the road, your spot starter, your journeyman. He made $8 million for the Giants approximately. And of the $279 and change million cap, that's a 2.87% share. So again, if all 53 men on the NFL roster were paid like the UFL, they'd be making a 1.89% share. You're paying Jalen Hurts 7.83 2025 and 10.61 in 2026. Aaron Rodgers getting just over 5%, and Jameis Winston getting just below 3%, 2.87. Okay?
So that quarterback room, that theoretical quarterback room, is getting up about 15%.
Yeah.
Of the full. Okay, cool. Keep going.
And then you leave.
What's your solution?
So here's my solution. The UFL on game day is allowed to carry 50 players. So the math on that didn't quite need the calculator for that, is 2% share per player. So my idea was to pay 49 players $70,000 and pay a premier quarterback $210,000, which would put him at a 5.77% share. So just north of the 2025 Aaron Rodgers cap hit.
Okay.
Again, 49 players, $70K, the premier quarterback. And listen, Mike, if you need to talk to me, we can talk about it. We can talk about how we can have maybe certain thresholds for how many starts quarterbacks have to reach certain pay thresholds. Or maybe there's a certain guaranteed, like half if it's guaranteed, and you make the rest over starts. But 49 players at $70,000, the quarterback at $210,000, which would put the quarterback at a 5.77% share. Now, in that scenario, if 50 players were making $70,000, which virtually they do now, your payroll for a team would be $3.43 million, and that would merely jump to $3.64 million.
Okay.
Now, I have an alternate, and I think this is probably more realistic if you want the Diego Tavia's or
So we got option A.
Option
Everyone
A.
still gets paid the same, except one quarterback gets paid 5%.
Yes.
as opposed to the 2%. Cool. Go.
I have the model that is more close to the original 2020. This is 49 players making $70,000 and the quarterback making $420,000. That would put him at a 10.91% share, which is almost identical to Jalen Hurts' 10.61% in 2026. In that case, the cap with every player making the same would go from $3.43 million to $3.85 million. And I would argue that at $420,000, you could probably get a good backup that wants to actually play and showcase some stuff for that. So that's my proposal. The UFL would pay 49 players $70K, and then quarterback based on some parameters, based on maybe half of it's guaranteed and the rest comes with starts or performance or whatever, making either 210K, which would be a 5.77% share, which is on par with the Aaron Rodgers comp, which an older year-by-year deal veteran, or the one quarterback at 420K, which would be a 10.91% share, which would get into your quote-unquote elite category with our GOAT Jalen.
I like it. I do. Because I think it solves the problem with the parameters that the league currently has set. But I think that you got to put the onus on your team's GMs. Like, why are we doing it this way? The GM's job, part of the GM's job is contracts and roster organization. That's one of the things that makes it so hard to be a GM at the NFL level is you have to decide where your money's being spent as opposed to the league saying, yeah, they say that the minimums are this, the maximums are this for the full team salary, but you have to decide how you're going to orchestrate your organization. And some teams do it great. Like Howie Roseman for the Eagles is one of the best GMs with the contract negotiations and orchestrations.
Don't let the NFL
However,
stuff get to you. We're not talking about the NFL.
Then you have teams like the Cardinals who are going to stay bottom of the barrel because they don't use their resources appropriately. I think that the UFL should open it up and put the onus on the GMs. But I do like your solution for the way that it's currently constructed.
I'm confused. I'm a little curious though. Like what are the GMs supposed to do if you can only pay a Tanner Kate for the Eagles? He makes a couple million just being the third string quarterback, the backup quarterback. Why would he play spring football for $70K? And
he wouldn't.
That's the second or third string. Like, you're not going to get anybody good. The only time we had marquee starters was when we were paying $400,000. I'm completely reversing my thought process. I think we need to pay quarterbacks more than everybody else in the UFL.
I agree with you.
Or I think the league will die. I'm going to say it.
Damn.
I'm just going to say it.
Yeah, because if it continues to be this current quarterback carousel where they're having different segments during the game
right now.
They're having different segments about the game, how this quarterback used to play for this team last week, and now he's on this other team, or this guy got traded for this guy midweek. It's getting really, really tough, and it's even we've had to do some edits to the show.
We got to do just 3 edits to the show.
3 in a row. So I do think it's a problem. I like your solution. I think your solution is the most simple and straightforward of the possible solutions. So good job by you by keeping it simple and keeping it moving. But yeah, I like that. I do think that it's something that needs to be addressed because it's getting out of control.
Yeah.
I also don't know. I think you might just end up paying these shitty quarterbacks more money. Right? Because you have other competition, right? You're not going to have, we saw it this year with the NFL draft, and sorry to take it back to the NFL, but like you have players that aren't good enough to cut it in the UFL, but they can get paid $1 million to play quarterback in college. So they'll just stay in college for an extra year, an extra 2 years.
Oh, so you're saying that that college and NIL becomes competition to the UFL?
Yes. Because before you were 4 years and you were out. 5 years and you were out.
My brain's hurting from that one.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot to think about. It's a lot to think about. What's next?
I'm buffering. You really cooked me with that one. Anyway, guy, UFL. The problem you finally fixed the stadium problem to a degree. We know what size stadium we want. Audi Field is the model.
Now we're on to the next big problem of the league, and it's 100% the quarterback play.
It's the quarterback position.
Hard to
So
argue against
anyway,
that.
let's just start off the film room with our quarterback. Okay, Jordan Tame, another fire game, 20 of 28, 227 yards, 3 touchdowns, a pick that I'll talk about later. Again, completing passes to 7 different receivers. And this is what I love most about not only Teamu, but I think the mid passing game and the play action passing game that Fred Keiss is drawing up. So I have a few points I want to go over, and then I'll lean into you. So again, I have 4 keys to the game here, or 4 highlights of the game. One, just Jordan continuing to sling the rock with that mid game passing, and again connecting to various different receivers. That Cornell Powell one-handed touchdown catch, like that
Gorgeous.
should be on the Sports Center top 10 plays. I don't even watch Sports Center anymore, but it should be. That was insane. I had my buddy who isn't even a football guy was passing through, so we grabbed lunch. I said, hey, we can watch the Defenders game, 2 birds, 1 stone. And I sent him the podcast. He listened. He was all ready to watch. And even he was like, oh my God, that's one of the best catches I've ever watched live. Like that catch was unbelievable by Cornell Powell. As indicative by this mid-level passing game, as indicative by spreading the ball around. I want to shout out Keiss on this. Again, I love just the use of motion. And specifically in this game, we used Briley Moore and our boy Mason Fairchild, the first
Great
guest
game.
of the Fly Shields Fly podcast. You come on the show, you get the dough. That was kind of cringy.
So this is what it is. It's the Shields Up Super Boost. You join the show and you have the game of your life.
The Shields Up Super Boost. I like that.
Shields Up Super
His
Boost.
first touchdown as a defender, Mason Fairchild, but a product of these schemes where the tight ends are lining up at wing. They're motioning over. We have the receivers running what we call clear out routes, and then leaves the flat open for the tight end or wing. And the best part of this, when they did it with Briley Moore, is number 13, Eric Ezukanma, EZ,
Doing
had
it
a
big time.
dog, DAWG, disciplined athlete with grit block. That is the real reason Briley Moore broke that. And I hope Briley went up to him after and was like, yo, dude, thanks for that. Like,
That's definitely getting
unbelievable
talked about in their
block.
film room, because that's elite. When you have a receiver who's out on the edge, able to block and willing to block like that, that's how you get big plays. Like Bradley Moore he's not a 4.4 speed guy. He's not even a 4.5 speed guy, but he was getting down that sideline because his teammate set the edge for him, and he took advantage of it. Would have loved to see him score, especially after getting the shot out from Mason Fairchild during the week as a great teammate. Easy stepping up, being a great teammate for him right back.
And I want to add one, probably my favorite play of the game. You probably saw this and were like, oh, Marsh probably like that. It was 30 seconds left in the first quarter. Jordan fakes a zone right, fakes a handoff to the right. And while he pulls it, you have right tackle Tarkin and right guard Branch pulling left. And those backside defenders squeezed a little bit, and they perfectly got to the outside shoulder, and Jordan ran for a first down. It was beautiful.
It was a gorgeous play.
So now we're pulling guards, we're pulling tackles, we're motioning wings, we're motioning receivers, we're clearing
quarterback
routes,
counter,
we're walking on the perimeter.
Doing a little bit of it all. Like,
it was beautiful.
Coach Keiss is just absolutely drawing up plays, and the detail and the design in them is so exquisite and so intricate that it's so fun to watch this offense, because that's the only way you get all these players getting mentioned, right? We had 7 pass catchers. We're talking about the right guard and the right tackle having highlight plays. We're talking about receivers getting blocks that spring big plays for the tight ends. We're talking wings. We're doing so many things on this offense that are all married to each other. One play leads to the next, sets up the next. And it's taking what the defense gives you until you can break their back with a big play. And I love it.
Yeah.
Great strategy, great terminology, and even better execution from everybody.
1.5 more things in the half thing I'm going to give props to you on. 3, I love the aggression on 4th down. We went for it on 4th and 2. We had that fake punt to Farad Gardner. He went for the first down. I love the aggression on 4th. And then my 4th key to victory is we got our boy Derek Roberson back. And I stole this from you, Jay, or maybe we watched a clip together and we saw it. you really know how a player plays or what type of player a player is when the ball's nowhere near them and you watch how they act. Your quote unquote heel of the UFL, your villain, Derek Roberson, not only was he relentless in the pass rush, bullying the tackles, there were a
Yep.
couple plays when they would show slow motion to show something else. The damage he was doing to the tackle, play in and play out, when the ball was going the other way,
Yo,
he was
physically
breaking his soul,
dominating him and then emotionally terrorizing him all game.
giving him a swirly. It was like, oh man, it was like he was giving him a swirly in grade schools. It was beautiful to watch.
Truly was.
By your termed heel of the UFL, Derek Roberson's just a bad football dude, and I love it.
That defensive line is fierce.
Yeah.
I mean, I was watching, so I don't know if you caught it because you were out in public watching it. I don't know if you caught the halftime. Like they did I didn't really watch it myself. I think I was cleaning up the house a little bit, but the halftime humanizing fluff piece about Austin Reed. It was
Oh,
about
I
his
saw that
family,
it was
his
showing him a
kids.
lot.
Yeah, I didn't really know what they were talking about, but I just thought it was kind of funny that they had this humanizing piece about him. And in the first half, and it continued in the second half, he was just getting his ass kicked on. Like the hits that he was taking were vicious. The first one, Big Joe got him
Oh yeah.
and got him good. He's on the sideline. There's audio of him on the sideline, Austin Reed,
Is that when
saying
he
to
came
his
out for a
coach,
play?
he's like, Coach, I got suplexed.
Um,
He got straight smacked, and that was just one of maybe 6 or 7 hits. That again, they're completely legal, no flags in the UFL. But if you're doing those to NFL quarterbacks, you're getting arrested before you get back on your team's
well,
bus.
there was the one that Joe Wallace got flagged for that took Austin Reed out for a play. That I mean, it wasn't quite as egregious as the
As the
penalty
earlier
Joe
one,
had 2 weeks ago, but he
yeah.
did it was like a Triple H WWE spine buster.
And again, he's a big, fast man,
Yeah, and I'll say
big,
too,
strong, and fast.
that quarterback that came in, he was a D3. He was a D3 product. The quarterback that came in for a couple plays and he busted a run for like 24 yards right away. I'm thinking like maybe they had some juice there because it was just different. I mean,
It might have just been one of those plays where it was different, and
than
he
that.
doesn't have to know the full book and execute the full book.
All right, stop trashing my D3 folk, okay?
Let's run the play with this,
Hashtag
guys.
YD3. Hashtag YD3.
All right. I don't want to shit on the D3s.
But those are
I'm gonna
my
get into the
keys.
film room. Can I go film room for the
Yes,
defense real quick?
yes, hit it.
Defense dominated again. Only 6 points given up. That's great for a professional football game. Last week, my coach correction was calling out the defense for tackling for the big hit instead of tackling for effective tackling. They deaded that. They were tracking, attacking, and finishing plays going our way. I think Sam Kidd had a beautiful, 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 beautiful open field tackle that
Mm.
just got me juiced. Came down from the strong safety position at the right angle, great body position, great strike on the tackle, and finished. Got the whole team juiced, and that's what defense is all about. Defense is where the momentum is. If you're getting stops on third down, you get a stop on a fourth down, you continue to do that drive after drive, that momentum builds and the energy gets infectious. It gets infectious to the other players on the defense. It starts to spread to the special teams, right? That's how we're executing that fake punt. It's when your coaching staff is confident enough that your defense is going to be able to get the job done that you can go for that fake punt, that you can go for it on fourth down. Because if you don't get it, you have confidence that your defense is going to continue to do what they've been doing. So shout out to the defense, the front four with the QB hits, making sure every quarterback that plays the DC defenders feels it that next day.
Mm.
And our speed, our linebackers, and our defensive backs are all over the field every game. So defense, keep doing what the heck y'all are doing, playing with that energy and the intensity and that nastiness, because it's been fun to watch in the film room. The film room is definitely going to be a party for you guys this week.
Like you said, and I was thinking about it while I was watching it on both sides of the ball. Our fast guys are better than anybody else's fast guys. The fact that we can complete passes to 7 receivers, and in my lemon of the game, I argue should have been 8 receivers, is just indicative of the depth of our quote unquote fast guys. Our fast guys are better than your fast guys.
Got the best fast guys.
All right, so lemon of the game. It was hard for me to think about it, but I will say just the second half in general, really the fourth quarter, left a bad taste in my mouth. Just how we kind of sputtered. We had that 24-0 lead, and we just never really put anything together. But I will say, it started at the end of the third quarter. We drove down the field, and Coach Kais dialed up a pop pass. And that was kind of the beginning of the end of our momentum. So fake the handoff, draw in the linebackers, but don't go upfield. Our right guard, Jahari Branch, peels off from the right side to go to the left side, just into the end zone. But one of the Renegade defenders didn't really bite, so he was kind of in the middle of the end zone. And I get it. As someone who's called pop passes before and has tried to teach them, it is really hard it's harder than you think to execute that, because you can't just throw it face level to the receiver because everyone's so close, and it'd be so easy to bat the ball down. So typically what we teach as coaches, and tell me if I'm wrong, Jay, is to really off your back foot.
It's a rainbow arcing.
Yeah, it has an arc to it. But the way Jordan sailed it, not even in the direction of Branch, again, a trick play to throw a pass to our offensive guard, which is music to my ears. I would have loved to have touched the football back in my day. All right, and Jahari Branch, he's been waiting his whole football career for that. I say I hate when palms are in the air. That's a body language thing I don't want our players to have. When our palms are in the air, that shows that we're unregulated. We're blaming
surrendered.
And that pop pass was poorly executed by Jordan, but I understand it's actually way harder than it looks. But that started a sputtering out of the offense, which makes me also look at the run game. We're dialing up these play action plays where we fake the run and throw a medium pass. At what point does a defense say they're running the ball for our leading rusher was Abram Smith with 26 yards. Deion Jackson, who before this game was a leading rusher in the UFL, had 17 yards. At what point does the defensive coordinator say, okay, we're locking in on the pass, beat us with the run?
Especially in the second half, right? When you're up by 3 scores, why not just get nasty and run the ball? Especially I get the pop pass is fun, it's funky. You probably drew that up in week 4, and now you finally get a chance to use it in week 6. So let's call it. But at the goal line, just hand it to Jackson, hand it to Galladay, hand it to Smith. Just hand the ball off. Let's keep it simple and get the points. So I'm with you on that. I am definitely 100% with you. Let's get back to run the damn ball. Grind it out, especially when you got the lead and you're just trying to kill some clock.
Because at a certain level, the offensive scheme is predicated off of balance, and we've shown for a couple weeks in a row that we haven't had balance in execution. So at what point does
That's one of the things I'm worried about coming to bite us at some point. That third quarter, the third and fourth quarter, the announcers were just searching for something to talk about. I don't know if you paid attention, but the announcers did most of the entire third quarter from the beer snake.
Oh, yeah, I did notice that. That was hilarious. Is that your lemon?
Yeah, so that'll jump right into it. I get it. When you're an announcer and it's a dog shit football game, it's not competitive. You can only talk about the plays that are happening on the field so much. They spent most of the third quarter more involved in talking about the beer snake, to the extent that they ran some numbers, which is where the lemons become lemonade, because I love this part. I was like, all right, we get it. The beer snake is great. It's one of the coolest fan culture things that I've seen. It is an awesome tradition that is truly organic and born of the fans. But they took it a step further, which turned them talking about it too much in the third quarter, from lemons to lemonade. They ran the calculations that a 25-row beer snake is approximately 50 feet of snake. Those 50 feet It's 2 cups per inch. So you need 2 cups to make 1 inch. Over 50 feet is 1,200 beers for a 50-foot beer snake. A 25-row, 50-foot beer snake is 1,200
And
beers.
that's like light work for them. That's not even a lot for
No,
our,
and
for our
they're
usual beer
crushing
snake.
these, right? So that's not that many. That's not the longest snake that they've ever had, and it doesn't
No,
account for the curve of
we've
the
had some
snake.
serious
So
snakes.
when the snake starts weaving back and forth, those numbers obviously get a little, they're shorted a little bit. But those 1,200 beers are made up of 16-ounce cups of beer. That's 19,200 ounces of beer that has to get drunk for a 50-foot beer snake. The value of that beer, that liquid gold, $14,400 worth of beer has to be drank for a 25-row beer snake.
The beer snake is doing their job in trying to solve the quarterback problem.
100%.
UFL,
100%.
where
That's
are
a game
you?
check. That's a game check for one of these QBs right there,
Like
man.
the beer snake is trying to fund the return of Cardale Jones.
Shout
What?
out to the fans at Rowdy Audi for keeping it rowdy and keeping it loud, and letting that beer snake go. So yeah, there's my lemon/lemonade of the game.
All right. I also, you mentioned things on the broadcast. I also want to point out, I think they're doing a great job as, I think they're doing a great job, at least on field and on screen, utilizing Washington Commanders legends to promote the brand.
Doug.
So Chris Samuels, longtime Pro Bowl tackle. I actually, when I was at the game, I was down lower and I was like, Chris, and I gave him a sticker for the pod. So he might be listening, Chris
He's
Samuels,
probably
Pro Bowl.
listening.
And then at this game, they had the president of the UFL, Russ Brandon, and first black Super Bowl champion quarterback, Doug
Doug,
Williams,
the GOAT.
holding the UFL, the United Bowl trophy. So I just wanted to shout that
I
out.
love that they're already having it show up on DC Defenders game because they know we're about to keep that thing.
That's it. We're about to keep. Well,
I love
I
it.
guess we didn't have it last year. It was just the UFL championship. But anyway, scouting report. All right. So I'm gonna hit a interesting pattern here and why I think it is the way it is as far as the coaching staff for the Louisville Kings, who we play next Saturday, May 9th at 1:30 p.m. I believe. Yes. May 9th, Saturday, May 9th at 1:30 p.m. And then I'm going to talk about some threats that I pulled from their team and just some interesting connections to the Defenders, to the NFL. So the head coach for the Louisville Kings is Chris Redman. And I think at first I'm like, I know that name. And talk about a journeyman, middle of the road quarterback. This is the quintessential, like, 68 to 72 range on Madden when we were kids. And our starter got hurt and we had to put Chris Redman in. Like, no shade to Chris Redman. He is a Louisville product, a Louisville legend for college, and then went to the NFL, was on the Ravens, and was on the Falcons for a long time. He's a 2000 Super Bowl champion with the Ravens, but really he started quite a few games for the Falcons whenever needed. But he is a Louisville legend. He's a Louisville native. He's never had head coaching experience. So it's my theory maybe that, hey, we want to get some juice going in the Louisville market. Let's hire this guy who is an NFL name. He's a name that our community knows. Let's put Chris Redman in charge. And his staff, he has offensive coordinator Steve Logan, who just has really incredibly diverse coaching experience. I mean, this is just a guy that loved ball and wanted to work his way up. He's coached everywhere from the high school level to the NFL level to the spring football model. Like, he's college. He's coached everywhere. And then their defensive coordinator's a name that we might know, Jamie Sharper, an accomplished NFL vet, was on that 2000 Ravens Super Bowl team, playing with Ray Lewis and Ed Reed. And what's interesting there is that he was on the 2025 UFL champion Defenders staff. So he got promoted and poached by Chris Redman. And I think what's cool too is that this coaching staff, whether it's the HC, the OC, the DC position coaches, it's a Ravens haven. 5 coaches from that 2000 Super Bowl team. 5 coaches are from that 2000 Ravens Super Bowl team on the staff.
5 coaches that have Super Bowl winning experience. That's a lot. That's impressive for
So
a
Chris Redman,
UFL staff.
Jimmy Sharper, Tony Banks, Chris McAllister, and then I put Jackson, but I forget Jackson's name. But anyway, some good players from that 2000 team. 5 coaches are from that Ravens team. So again, I love seeing the connection between coaches and how you have this cool opportunity and how you bring people in. And it's indicative of having a cool locker room. They won the championship, and then 26 years later, you're getting your boys back to coach a UFL team for the Louisville Kings.
It's good stuff.
So our quarterback for next week, again, I believe not a good one. Chandler Rogers. He went to 5 colleges.
Wow.
In 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 4. He went to Southern Miss, didn't start, transferred to Louisiana Monroe, which I believe is FCS.
No, that's a D1.
D1 AA?
FBS, yeah. FBS.
It's FBS? Okay. So he was 2-4 one season, then he was 4-8. He transfers to North Texas. North Texas I'm fascinated with because of how much they've boomed the last few years. But he was 5-5 in North Texas, transfers to Cal Berkeley, and he doesn't start. He started 1 game, 0-1. So he goes undrafted. I mean, he hasn't really won where he's been, and he ends up being the starter for the Louisville Kings, which is still weird to me because the Louisville Kings traded Jason Bean, who was good. Well, he was putting up good numbers, and he has pedigree. And then they traded him for our backup, DeLello. And I don't know. I'm wondering why they think that Chandler Rogers is a better option than Jason Bean. I just don't I don't see that. But man, Roberson and the boys are going to get after Chandler Rogers. The wide receiver room is pretty good. Okay, we have 3 receivers that have been kind of like a 3-headed monster, all having around 20 plus catches. We have a familiar name for our Shields Up Nation, Lucky Jackson. Lucky Jackson was arguably our best receiver in the relaunch. And I remember he ended up getting signed. He used a very successful year with the Defenders and Tame to then get a roster spot, a tryout with the Vikings, and an actual roster spot with the Vikings. And he was on that team. And I actually went to the Eagles-Vikings preseason game. And I'm not even going to hold you, partially because I wanted to see Lucky Jackson play, and he cooked. He was a preseason dog. But he's a great receiver in the UFL. Lucky Jackson, a Defenders legend. 2 6'3" receivers, Tariq Black, played at Michigan and Texas. Also was on the practice squad for the Jets. And then another 6'3" receiver, Isaiah Winstead, played at a variety of colleges, but has cut his teeth on practice squads in the NFL and is now putting up some good numbers in the UFL. And then one very unique weapon that the Louisville Kings offense has is their tight end named Zach Davidson. He's 6'7", big-bodied receiver. And what I find fascinating about this, when you see these tight ends that are 6'7" plus, usually they're not the most athletic in space. Zach Davidson ran a 4.640, a 4.62 40 at the NFL Combine when he was coming out of college at Central Missouri. He was a D2 All-American at Central Missouri, and I just think that's super fast for a 6'7", 250-pound tight end.
Yeah, it's moving.
He played on the Bills. He played on the Giants, and a little deep cut story for you. You may have seen film of him before. I wouldn't be surprised if a bunch of fans have seen a clip going viral of him before. And when Shiloh Sanders came out, there was a preseason kerfuffle between then Bills tight end Zach Davidson and Shiloh Sanders, then Bucks defensive back, where Davidson shoved him and then Shiloh swung at him. And it was like a little controversy in the preseason to make some news. So that was just a little deep cut there. And then 2 guys for defense. Cam Gill is their best edge rusher right now, number 46, off-ball linebacker, D-end. Went to Wagner College. He was on the Bucks he played 4 years in the NFL, including 3 years with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, including the Tom Brady Super Bowl, so he's a Super Bowl champion, and 1 season with the Panthers. So he leads the Louisville Kings in sacks. So I think that'll be a good matchup to look
Okay.
at him versus our right tackle Tarkin and our left tackle Jalen Duncan, and also a cornerback Bryce Hall,
Yeah.
who
Okay.
started 26 games in 4 seasons with the Jets. This is a
Yeah.
legitimate former
Yeah.
NFL pro that has come on a little late, and he's put together some games late. And again, I think could pose a challenge to our receivers. Now, when you complete passes to 7 different guys, and Bryce Hall is only one person, all right.
Right.
But those are our threats. We have a good receiver room. We have a really interesting and dynamic tight end with Zach Davidson. We have a UFL elite edge rusher and a UFL elite corner. And I don't think Chandler Rogers, their quarterback, is good. And I think they were stupid for trading Jason Bean. So that's my scouting report.
All right. Well, I think we come out on top again. I want to introduce one quick segment before we start to get out of here. Stock watch. Whose stock is going up, whose stock is going down, and who's on fraud watch. So stock going up for us right now, stock going up is the tight end room. I think the tight ends are continuing to be used very creatively. Down. Stock watch. Stocking whose stock is going up, whose stock is going down, and who's on fraud watch. So stock going up right now is the DC Defenders tight end room. I think the tight end room has 3 dogs in it. Players who can do both run block, contribute in the pass game, and are just, like you said, disciplined athletes with grit, getting the job done. Stop going down, and this gives me a concern. Our run game. I think we've been going away from it. We had a 3-headed monster that was building and eating well in the trenches, on the edges. We had it going, and it seems like we don't anymore. And fraud watch is not on the DC Defenders because there are no frauds in DC. Well, on the Defenders, there's plenty of frauds in the city of DC. Fraud watch is the Dallas Renegades getting out to a really hot start and then losing to Columbus for Columbus's first win of the season, and I think dropping 3 straight. I thought they were going to be one of our competitors for the championship this year, but they're on fraud watch. So one time through stock watch, stock up, tight end room, stock down, DC Defenders run game, fraud watch. Everybody down there on that Dallas football team that is not the Dallas Cowboys, the Dallas Renegades. And yeah, that's where I'm at for stock watch. You want to take us to the final whistle?
I like it. The final whistle. Guys, I need your help here. All right. So I went to the Sixers playoff game on Thursday. It was awesome. Game 6 in Philly. Vibes were high. I made it on the Jumbotron for the first time in my life. Had the time of my life. We beat the Celtics. We just took them to 7-1, whatever. But I'll keep the Philly banter to a minimum. Here's my question. I need you to settle a debate. When you buy a seat to an event, let's call it a concert, let's call it a sports event, do you have the right to stand up as you please, even if the person behind you is seated? I went with my mentor for my first job, shout out Sean, came back to Philly, we went to the game, and he's been having some health issues with his hamstrings, sciatic nerve, lower back, and he was he needed to stand, but he's also 6'3". So, and the woman behind us was not 6'3". And she, reading her body language, she was clearly fuming that we were standing for the first little chunk of the game, to the point where we just read the room and sat down and stood up to cheer. But what's the etiquette here? Like, I want to say it. I think that it does. I don't think there's a black and white answer. I think, yes,
There's
you have
not.
a right to, but I think you need to be considerate of those around you. But is that a good enough answer?
I think it depends on the event, depends on the venue. And I think it also depends on where in the arena you're sitting. Okay. So
Okay.
if you are, there's some spots where if you stand up, you're blocking someone's view the entire game and there's no way around it. There's also times where you might be someone who's vertically challenged and the person in front of you is tall and the incline of where your seat is, they could still be blocking you even if you're sitting.
Yeah.
So there's some places where that's a tough one, right? You just gotta hope that you're not short and get stuck behind someone who's 6'8". I don't think you can ask someone to sit down if they're already seated and still blocking view. I don't think you can ask them to slouch. I think that's just part of the sporting or live events experience
Yeah.
is who's going to be around you. Because right, you can say that for so many things. You can say which side of the cup holder you use, or can you cheer as loud as you want the whole time. I think everyone's going to come in with their own way of watching a game, and we just have to have this social capacity to be able to figure it out together. Like if she was that upset, I don't know, stand up,
Because here's the thing too: if she stood up, she still wouldn't be able to see because he's 6'3".
right? So I think that's just a bad bounce for her. Luck of the draw went opposite of what she was hoping. So if I'm gonna blow the toot on that one, I'm gonna say that sucks for her. I'm hoping that she could still get into the game because it was a hell of a game 6 down there, which led to a hell of a game 7 in Boston. And I doubt she was wearing a Celtics jersey because that would have came into the
No,
story.
it was. It just ended up being like every time the Sixers had a basket, I would fist bump Sean next to me. I'd fist bump her behind me. I'd fist bump her boyfriend, husband, whatever. I'd fist bump the two kids next to me and their mom. Like every single basket. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2,
That's a
3, 4,
lot.
5.
That's a lot of fist bumps, dude.
I'm
You're
superstitious. So I
super
kept the
jolly.
same, and then
Nah, you're
eventually it was to the
jolly.
point where I
You're
built
super
rapport. I built
jolly.
community with her, and she would already know. I would just go like this. I wouldn't even turn around. She'd hit me
so
back.
she not only could she not see, she only knew when they scored if you were giving up a fist bump.
That I love how you said social capacity because I think that's kind of the like if I feel like I'm bothering somebody in that way, like I want to stand and I feel that the person behind me doesn't want to stand, I can feel them peering and just staring into my back and I can't enjoy it either. So I think how I navigate it is I read the room and I think at the very least, every time there is an exciting basket or a good moment, I will stand, high five, cheer, fist bump, and then I'll return to my seat.
Return back to the seat.
But like, it's weird that we have something like that. And there are so many other examples where it's like there's no black and white, and you just have to
Yeah.
rely on navigating and accessing social skills and intuition. But it's like, I mean, I feel bad because she's mad or he's mad or whatever. But like, should I feel bad? Now it's like
No.
no,
No. No.
no.
Try to be conscious. Try to be courteous. But mind your own damn business.
Yeah, I don't think we answered the question. But anyway, what's your toot?
My toot. Have I talked to you about football consciousness before?
I don't know.
Have
I
I
don't.
ever introduced you to the idea of football consciousness?
You
It's
introduced
a new
me to a lot, Jay.
it's a
So,
new thing for me, right? So
okay.
I think football consciousness is like, when is your earliest football memory? So I have my earliest playing football memory.
I had that.
I
That
was
was going to be my opening drive in future weeks.
I was 4 for my first football consciousness. I was at football practice. My dad was the coach. He used me as an example of how to lower your shoulder. And my dad is at that point in time was often confused for Emmett Smith. The
Dude,
way he's, yep, right. Like you've seen him. He is built similar to how a professional running back would be built. And he ran me the
even
hell over.
however old he is right now, he still looks like
Right.
put a
Still
gold
trains like
jacket
one.
on him. You'll think he's from Canton. Yeah.
Exactly. Still trains like one at 60 years old. So, uh, again, I'm 4 years old. He uses me as an example. I remember just looking up at the stars, and seeing the sky and remembering that I was standing up before and I was no longer standing up because I got ran over. That's one of my first football conscious moments playing. My first football conscious moment watching is actually like when I really started to really be into football is the 99 2000s St. Louis Rams, that Super Bowl team that we talked about last week.
Yeah.
I vividly remember what I was doing, who I was with, what I was eating, what clothes I had on when Eric Dyson got tackled on the 1 yard line for the Tennessee Titans to
Oh,
lose the Super Bowl
nickname.
to the St. Louis Rams. So, do you know what your football consciousness moment is?
Yeah, I haven't really thought of it in that way. I think the way you phrase it really helps, and I think a lot of our listeners are going to be able to think deeply about it. When you put it that way, my first football memory of playing is actually the reason I quit and left the sport. So I remember my neighbor's dad helping me put on my pads because I was trying out in like fourth grade or fifth grade, or I think it was fifth grade at that point. And then I went out to practice and we did our first hitting drill. It was like day 2 and we were in pads. And I saw a kid break his arm. And it wasn't even like that crazy, but it was a hitting drill that resulted in a kid like having a bone break. And I was like, all right, I'm good. And I quit and I didn't come back till 7th grade. So my first football consciousness would be Rose Tree Colts, 4th or 5th grade. And I do believe I remember the name of the kid who broke his arm, or the kid that broke his arm. I don't want to switch them, but yeah. And my neighbor's dad putting my one of my best friend's dad helping me put my pads on because I didn't know what I was doing, and my dad wasn't a football guy. And then watching a kid break his arm and being like, "I'm good," and then dipping. And then my football like fan consciousness or watching consciousness is really all a product of my grandmother. One of my first tattoos is when the Eagles won their first Super Bowl. I have the old school Eagles logo, and in one of the wings is my grandmother's signature, Doris Savastano. She loved Donovan McNabb. Like she would always have a Donovan jersey. She had Donovan bobbleheads galore. Like she loved Donovan. And in an era where Donovan was heavily criticized and not appreciated as much as he should be for the consistency that he brought us, um, my grandmom was a huge Donovan fan, and just how much she loved him made me love him and made me want to watch, and it really made me fall in love with that early 2000s Eagles team. So shout
That's
out
dope.
my grandmom
That's
at her
dope.
funeral. People were encouraged to wear green, and specifically, I remember the flower arrangement was a McNabb white away jersey made out of roses.
Wow.
So
Wow. That's
thanks for
beautiful.
unlocking that memory.
Yeah, man. That's the beauty of sports, and not just football, but sports in general bring you together in some type of community that would not exist otherwise. So we're doing more than rooting for people in specific laundry. We're rooting for connections, communities, and we need more of it. So I'm glad we had another great episode. Player of the game this week, I'm giving it to Eric Ezekana. Easy,
You know what?
easy. It
Listen,
was
we
easy this
started.
week. His nickname is Easy. He had a great block to get us sprung on the big run down the sideline by the big man, the tight end, and he also had that beautiful one-handed catch in the end zone. No, his was not the one-handed catch, but he had a touchdown and he got
Correct.
things going for us.
Yeah.
He definitely
So
had a great game.
so we started this episode talking about how we never really disagree, and that's gonna continue. I agree. Easy is the player of the game, specifically just because of how he plays, and that's how you should play football. Like I said earlier, how someone plays on film when the ball's not in their hands, that's how you can tell what type of teammate, what type of player an athlete is. And Eric Ezukanma springs that block on the edge, drive blocks this guy 8, 10, 12 yards for Bradley Moore to break a big play, and is rewarded later that drive with the touchdown to cap off the drive. So that drive is the easy drive, and it's just indicative of how our football team is playing. I'm going to drop a Stalinism on you. Execution fuels emotion, and Eric Ezukama, your freaking stinking execution
Hmm.
fueled the emotion for the game. And Easy, you're a player of the game. Dude, I think we might be able to get, who knows? We're going to get more guests on the pod. I would love having Easy on the pod.
Yeah, he'd be fun. He'd be fun. Again, shout out to Mason Fairchild joining the show last week. If you didn't get a chance to listen to that episode yet, go check it out. It's a quick 10-minute hitter. Get in, get out. We got to hang with Mason Fairchild, talk ball, talk his coaching experience, talk his college experience, and talk about his experience playing for the DC Defenders. But that's the end of this one. Go ahead. This one's wrapped up. but keep those shields up and fly, shields fly.
Fly shields fly, baby. Shields up.
Peace.